Am I the a-hole for flipping out on my husband for canceling my job interview? New account because he deleted my main. So this might sound petty, but let me explain. In 2019, I could no longer work because of my physical disabilities. No company wanted to hire me for the past couple of years, and my husband said that it's better I just stay home and not worry about working. I agreed, and he's become the breadwinner. Then, it's like a switch that flipped because chores were 50-50. But after I lost my job, they become 100% on me. Keep in mind my physical disabilities I developed. His excuse for not doing anything to help is that I stay at home 24/7. I told him that's not fair, especially since I suffered from physical discomfort. He made a deal with me and promised that everything will be 50-50 once I start working again. I told him I would find a job. And he laughed and said, good luck. I remember this vividly because of the strange laugh that I never heard him laugh before. I started looking for a job again for months, but had no luck, till my friend's husband found me a potential job at a company that would have me work from home due to physical strains. I was so excited and felt like I'm capable again despite the struggle. They scheduled an interview with me, and when I told my husband, he looked red in the face, but said nothing. Then 2 days ago, I found out that my job interview got cancelled. I found out when my friend reached out to ask why I did that, but I said I had no idea. I checked my email and found nothing because I didn't send anything to the company. My husband came home and admitted cancelling the interview. I asked why, and he said that this job had lots of requirements and I didn't seem to fit to be accepted there. So to spare me the heartache of being rejected, he just canceled the interview. I flipped out on him and told him he destroyed my one and only chance at landing a job. But he said he was just feeling concerned about my well-being. I told him he probably didn't want me to work because he didn't want to split house chores, and he seemed offended by that. He threw a fit about how unreasonable and selfish I was to even consider a job without speaking to him first. I told him I don't get involved in his work life. He called me horrible for accusing him of bad intention, then went out to meet his friends, probably to vent because one of them told me that my husband is looking out for me, but I was being cruel to him by yelling. He has been cold-shouldering me since then, deleted my social media accounts, claiming that they're bad for my mental health because of the negative effects some of those platforms have. Am I the a-hole for yelling at him? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. New account because he deleted my main. I just had to read this one line and knew this was not going to be you in the wrong. This man has extreme control issues. Run. He should be lifting you up and encouraging your growth and happiness, not beating you down when you try to do something that makes you happy. I hope you realize you deserve so much better. Same. I read the first line and said out loud, get out. OP, this man has red flags as far as the eye can see. Run. He probably thinks she can't because she's disabled. Depending on the resources available in their area, he might be right. Get out, get out, get out. Call your friends, your parents, your dog sitter, whoever can take you and leave right now. Get a divorce the moment you are out, and never go near him again. This is 12 different kinds of abusive and could escalate very easily. He wants you helpless and dependent on him, so he can mistreat you and it's only going to get worse. Run now. Not stay home, but that hardly matters. Not stay home. Dear OP, please get out of this relationship now. Your husband is showing you exactly who he is, an abuser. First, he cut you off from your family and friends by deleting your socials. Then he canceled a job interview that would have given you some financial security. What exactly are you getting out of this relationship? Time for you to get in touch quietly with your family and make a plan to get out before it starts escalating. Next story. Am I the a-hole for saying my husband is a good father? When he was in his early 20s, my husband got a girl pregnant. They were casual dating in college. They had a lot of mutual friends. He didn't want to be a dad and told her as much, but she was adamant about keeping the baby. He was supportive through the pregnancy, but it was clear he didn't want to be involved. He wanted to renounce his rights, but ended up with an agreement where he still pays child support, but doesn't do visitation or has involvement in any parental decisions. The girl now is 12, and he hasn't met her nor plans to ever do. I met him 8 years ago. We've been married for almost 7. He told me about the whole thing having a bio child out there very early on. I am fine with it. It is sad that a child came to the world under those circumstances, but I don't think he was wrong for choosing not to be involved. We now have a 5-year-old son. My husband has always been wonderful to me. That's why I fell in love with him. He was great during the pregnancy and birth, but has been doting in our son and me ever since. I think he's a wonderful dad and husband. The problem: 2 of his friends married their college girlfriends, whom were/are friends with his bio daughter's mother. In now 3 occasions in conversations where I said my husband is a wonderful father, one of them said something snarky and mean like, yeah, to only one of his children. Over the weekend, we attended to one of them kids' birthday party. I was chatting to another mom about motherhood and said that it's easier when you have a good team player in your spouse. The homeowner mom chimed in to say, loudly, if only the mother of his other child had the same. Later, I confronted her in the kitchen, said I was very tired of her and other friend comments about my husband, that she didn't need to invite us to things or spend time with us if she didn't want to, but it was super disrespectful to be constantly insulting him as a father. She told me she initially likes me, but finds it distasteful and rude that I keep praising my husband as a good father, when I'm well aware that he isn't, that she will always make sure to correct me because it's not okay that he got away with what he did, and he now gets to play happy family with me and our son. The conversation went south from then on, and of course we left. The other mom friend texted me yesterday to tell me she completely backs up what the other said, and that I'm horrible for marrying and having a kid with a deadbeat, and on top of it to praise him as a good dad. I have no doubts of my feelings. My husband has been and is great with our son and me. I guess I never thought how my words could be insensitive towards his bio daughter and her mother, whom I've never met. But am I the a-hole for occasionally saying my husband is a good father when talking to people? Should I stop? Not the a-hole, and I really don't get all the comments saying otherwise. He wasn't ready to be a father then. It made that very clear to the ex. Still supported her through the pregnancy. Still pays child support. It has stuck to their agreement, as has the ex. What? Is he just supposed to show up at random? Toss that little girl's life into disarray just so he's not a deadbeat? Which he doesn't seem to be at all. Your other comments even make it clear that he recognized it would be unethical to give away parental rights, which it wouldn't have been. I mean, is there something I'm missing here? He can't be a good or a bad father to that little girl because he is not her father in anything more than blood. He is a father to your son and a good one, in many ways beyond that. So no, you're not the a-hole for saying that he is what he is. He is not her father in anything more than blood. This is what I was trying to say. Thank you. Not the a-hole. This may get me downvoted, but all the people saying you're the a-hole. Do you remember the post about the guy calling his ex a deadbeat because she didn't want anything to do with the child he talked her into giving him? She paid child support, more than needed, and requested to have nothing to do with them. Everyone jumped down the guy's throat, rightly so, for calling her a deadbeat, and stated she was within her rights to do that. Why is it different if it's a man? He didn't want a child then. He told her and she still had a child. He pays child support just like the woman did. Is it because he decided to have a child when he got older and wiser? Or is it simply because he's a man? I'm kind of torn between everyone sucks here and you're the a-hole. You're right that they probably just shouldn't hang out with you and your husband. But if your husband is friends with their spouses, they're a little bit stuck. And they should let sleeping dogs lie. And yet, why do you talk about what a great father your husband is that often? That has now come up in conversations 3+ times. It sounds like you're defensive and constantly reiterating that he is a great father, in front of these women who are good friends with the woman he left to parent alone. So I honestly don't blame them for wanting you to shut it. So it comes down to why this has come up so often. If they're constantly bringing up, unprompted, that your husband sucks as a dad, they should stop. But you should also stop constantly bringing up, unprompted, that he's a great dad. Their friend has been a single parent for years because he only values one of his children. You've decided that's okay with you, but it doesn't have to be okay with them. It doesn't happen often, 3 times in about 5 years. Before 2020, we used to be around these people, his group of friends, relatively often, so I really don't think it was often. Plus, I don't know how to explain it. I don't mind AITAs, but it seems I cannot paint a picture correctly. It's not that I sit there and randomly go, "Did I tell you my husband is a good father, everyone?" It's that maybe on occasion people were talking about parenting, or about being pregnant and how their husbands were with them, or about being in labor and what their partner did that helped them. And I would be part of that conversation and share something positive about my own. Like the first time one of them was rude about it. Another friend of theirs said her partner was so good with bedtime that her kids fell asleep so easily with him while they stay up for hours when it's her turn. And I said something about my husband's bedtime ritual with our son and how great he was with him. Then one of them said, "Yeah, great to one of his children at least." Also, I don't know if they're still friends with the bio mom. Never ask. I know they were friends in college. Bio mom lives in a different state as far as I'm aware. Next story is titled, "Am I the a-hole for telling my husband he is expecting too much from our son over the amount of eggs he eats?" My 38 female husband, 47 male, is a very traditional man. He also used to be a star football player for his team when he was younger. He is a very built man, and I of course love him the way he is. We also have a 15-year-old lovely son, who took after me a little more than his dad. By that, he isn't particularly brawny and doesn't have an eye for sports. So about a year ago, my son decided to pick up exercising, which of course I was glad for. We started jogging together and he started to eat a little healthier. However, recently my husband has been, in my opinion, a little harsh on our son. He expects him to do reps and eat a lot more protein, but I think he's forcing him too much. Our son started to talk less with his friends and pushing himself more and more. Last Sunday, I made all of us breakfast. I made 2 eggs for both my husband and son, but my husband insisted he had more, so I did 2 more eggs. He ate them, although barely, and my husband insisted I do more despite my son not wanting to this time. I told him that he needs to stop, and he was expecting too much from our son. He said that it was nonsense, and that as a kid he expects him to be like how he was when he was younger. I called him ridiculous, and he told me that as the father of our kid he should guide him, and that I was interfering. We haven't really talked much since, and I'm afraid I might be the a-hole because I came in between their relationship. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Is your husband Gaston from Beauty and the Beast? Cause he sounds like Gaston from Beauty and the Beast. In all seriousness, your husband is basically a cartoon villain. Please let your son live his own life. Our children aren't supposed to be carbon copies of us. Let him be his own person, and stop his dad from giving him further food trauma. Forcing someone to eat more than they can is abuse. I feel bad for your son. You would be the a-hole if you don't try to protect your son from his father's toxicity. Not the a-hole. What your husband is doing is completely ignoring what your son wants and damaging his relationship with him in the process. Pushing a child, especially at that age, to be something they're not will ruin all motivation they have and give them the feeling of never being good enough. If your husband doesn't calm down, he's only going to get resentment. The kid is lucky that he has a parent that does stick up for him. Just do make sure to ask your son for his opinion and give him a voice. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for turning around and walking out of the restaurant after seeing my boyfriend's 2-year-old son there? So, I met this guy, Will, 5 months ago. He's really sweet and loving, but he has a 2-year-old kid with his baby mama. The problem I have is that whenever we plan on going out for a date, Will's baby mama would call and demand he take their son to stay with him. They never married, so there's no legal custody arrangements in place. Every time we plan to go out, she'd call and demand that Will come pick their son up to stay with him for hours, resulting in our plans being cancelled. I told him his baby mama has been doing this deliberately. He said he noticed too, but cannot tell her no because if he refuses to take their son, she'd not allow him to see him for a whole month as a punishment. I told Will he has to put an end to this because it's affecting how our relationship is progressing, and he said he'll try. Last week, he invited me out for dinner at a restaurant. I was excited because he told me he was already at the restaurant, so I thought his baby mama doesn't know, so she won't wreck our plans. I got dressed nicely and did my hair and just took care of myself real good, looking forward for some quality time together. However, when I arrived at the restaurant, I saw Will and his son there. I felt rage and disappointment washing over me. Will saw me and waved me to come closer, but I turned around and walked out. He followed me outside trying to explain, but I decided to go home and the date was obviously cancelled. Later, he texted explaining that his baby mama did it again. He said he didn't know how she figured out we were going out and demanded he take their son for the night. He said he didn't want to be punished, but neither wanted to cancel our date, so he brought his son to the restaurant, and I was wrong to turn around and walk out. I told him I was sick of this woman dictating our life and being intentionally hurtful. But he said I ruined our night after we tried to compromise and he didn't appreciate that. Maybe I did, but I just wanted a quiet dinner for us both. And I'm disappointed that he once again let his baby mama bully him into doing what she wanted. But am I the a-hole? Info. This has been going on for a while. I have no idea how she keeps figuring out when/where we plan on going. Will says that it must be coincidental, but at this rate, I really doubt it. I've met up with her several times and she seemed quite hostile towards me for no reason. She doesn't know me that well, but made several assumptions about the type of woman I am. Our ages are ranging between 25 to 30. Info, how does she know his plans? He's either telling her and lying to you, or she has access to his messages or some app he uses. I don't know. Will says it's probably by accident, but that explanation has gotten old when his baby mama kept doing this for a while. It's honestly concerning. Some people here said she might have been tracking Will's activities, which is concerning. However, he told me that she constantly demands to be kept posted about his whereabouts in case of any emergencies with her son, but then said he no longer tells her. You are both too young to get tied down to this sort of dysfunctional situation, and too old to be with someone who doesn't take the responsibility seriously enough to pursue a custody agreement when it's clearly necessary. Not the a-hole. Never choose a weak person to build a life with. He should have put a custody plan in place long ago. Right. I'm not sure what being married has to do with a custody agreement. All parents who are separated from the other parent should have a legally enforceable custody agreement.